All right, so again, we've divided another sheet of paper into 12. On the very first side, we did circles to spheres. So I don't know if you guys wanted to label that circles to spheres. We worked on some neat freehand circles and then added that kind of globular shape to them with some contour lines to show that they are a 3D form. It has volume. Then we worked on some squares using equal lines to make kind of an L at a 90 degree, 2 lines, and then making sure that these two were parallel and these two were parallel, the left and right and the top and the bottom, okay? And if you wanted to use your ruler, you could do like 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and then just make sure that these match up. We turned some of these squares into cubes by, again, extending a corner line in and then working with matching up to those parallel edges, okay? And inevitably, you just end up connecting these points, the other 3, okay? And at the end of the day, these should be parallel and these angled lines should be parallel. And these, of course, okay? So as you went on to fill in your sheet, they probably got better and better, okay? So now we're gonna go and we're going to try out some triangles. Okay, and eventually turn them into cones. All right, so basically with a triangle, you've got a straight bottom. I'm just going to freehand this one. And then we want to bring this point up and have these two sides come up to that point, right? But we want to keep this point centered in the middle of this line. So what you're going to do is you're going to eyeball the center of the line that you just created. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, and then you're going to bring it up. So if you wanted to make it an equilateral triangle, you would bring it up roughly the same length as this line. Okay, if you wanted to make it a longer triangle, you can bring it up even higher. And then basically you want to just connect the sides. I like to use light sketch lines again in case I mess up or I'm not happy with it. I could go back and erase it. And then when I'm happy with it, I can go back in and darken my lines. Okay, and then you can end up erasing that center line. Okay, or leave it there as a dotted line to remind yourself that it's centered. Okay, again, let's try it again. Maybe a little bit larger. I'm going to make a line. I'm going to roughly find the center point of that line. I'm going to kind of create a light marker that goes all the way up. And I'm going to take the top of that point and connect it back to this side. And this one is going to go back to this side. If you feel like your lines are too curved, they're just not straight enough for you, you can go back over it with a ruler. Okay, so I'm just going to whip through it. You guys can take your time. I just have limited time for these video clips. Okay, so bottom, center point, up, and connect, and connect. And then we're only going to do 6 of these because when we transition to cones, we're going to transition to a second face at the bottom. As we know, cones have 2 faces, right? And right now we're just working with 1 face. So let's see if we can make 6 triangles. Another bottom, find the center, go up. Unlike the circle to sphere and the square to cube, we got to change the profile of this one a bit more. when we turn it into a form. Okay, and the last one, straight bottom, roughly find the center point, bring the center point up, and connect, and connect. And then if you want, you can clean it up. All right. So here's the trick with the cone. What we need to take from drawing a triangle is the fact that we're going to create a bottom face, except instead of a straight line, we're going to create kind of an oval, right? To show that this cone, which has a circular bottom, is sitting on the ground and we're kind of looking at it from an angle, okay? So we're not going to stick to the straight line, but we are going to draw a bottom face for it. What we're going to take from this is we're still going to find the center, okay? We're still going to find the center point of that ellipse, bring it up, okay, and then connect to the edges of our ellipse, okay? So really the 2/3 of this process is going to be transferred to drawing our cones. To draw a cone, the first thing that you're going to start off with is drawing an ellipse. So again, it's like an oval. So I like to just do a really light one, okay? And then I like to kind of go back in and fix it up so that it looks like a nice balanced ellipse. Otherwise, again, known as kind of a sideways oval. Okay, so let's fill the rest of these in with our ellipses. So again, you can sketch it like this, or you can, again, just kind of move your hand around, do really light one, and then go back and fix it up, making sure that it looks the same on both sides. Let's do 3 of them, and then we'll do the other 3 later. Okay, so it almost looks like there's a circle on the ground, but again, we're stepping away from it and we're looking at it kind of from an angled view. And don't be afraid to go back and erase. That's why your eraser is there. Okay, so again, similar to the triangles, we're going to find roughly the center of this ellipse and bring it up. If you want, you can even use your ruler for the first one, and you can double check that it is in fact the center. I did a pretty good job guessing. And now you're going to take that top and the very corner, right? Like if it's hard to tell where the corner is because it's a rounded object. So if you want, you can divide it like this, right? And then that middle point there is where the corner is. And then you're going to attach that to the top. Okay, and same with this back to the top point. Okay, and voila, there we have our cone. We no longer need this center point, but if you want to remember the steps, you can just put in a dotted line for yourself to remember what you did. Okay, to measure it out. So again, we did our ellipse. We try to make, if your ellipse looks kind of skinnier on this side and thicker on this side, go back and erase it. Try to make it, right, symmetrical on both sides. Then you're going to find the center of it. If you're having trouble eyeballing it, see what the measurement of your ellipse is. Mine's roughly 4 centimeters, so I'm going to do 2, okay? And you're going to bring that center point straight up. Okay, and then you're going to find the center of the sides of the ellipse here, so cut it in half this way. And you're going to take that point, bring it to the top, and then this point and bring it back to the top. Okay, so if you can freehand it, I mean, good for you. I just freehanded this one. Takes a little bit of practice, and we're not going to need this information here anymore. In fact, if you want, you can even slightly lighten that back part, right? Showing that it's kind of in the distance, and then darken the front. Okay, and again, we can leave the dotted line there to show what our thought process was with drawing this. Okay, so try your best to do another 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got, again, we started with 6 triangles. We did a baseline. We found the center. We brought a line straight up from that center point, and then we connected the top to the corner here and the top to the corner here. Okay, so we got a nice triangle. So basically everything that follows this bottom line step, you're transferring to creating a cone, except a cone, it's got form to it. It's got more than one face. It's got a bottom face, it's got a circle on the bottom, and then one face that wraps around like a tube. Okay? And this here, right, this is it's spherical here. So you can even, if you were to communicating using contour lines, that this is rounded, you can even do one of these, like an arrow, to show that this part is rounded. Okay, so let's do one more before I turn the camera off. I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to find my center. If I need to use my ruler, okay, to help me find the center, I can. And then you're going to bring a line up and then divide this guy in half this way. That's going to be your corner. Okay, and match up your sides. Right. So basically, the main difference between the triangle and the cone is, I mean, visually, right, is the front has this nice curved edge to it as opposed to a straight line. Okay, and one way not to draw a cone, if you're just freehanding a cone without following these steps, you're going to end up with something that looks like this, right? And what you don't want is these points here, right? You want to limit the points and get that nice rounded edge. So if you were really good at and practiced at drawing cones, you might end up with the ability to just, you know, go straight to this. Okay, but it takes lots of practice, and actually even that doesn't look very balanced, right? You probably get the best results with starting with an ellipse on the bottom, okay? But you shouldn't have these sharp points here. You should have a nice soft curve at the bottom, okay? So continue these all the way down here.